It is officially September here at the farm, which means two things. Number one, a sweatshirt is almost needed in the morning because of how cool the mornings get now here. And number two, in about 2 weeks, we're gonna start combining soybeans. So we're gonna get the bean head out today, start running through everything on this to get it ready. Come on. Being that the bean head is 40 feet wide, when we get the bean head ready, we want to always try to get it done in one day because we don't have a shed with a big enough door. The door in this shed's only like 33 foot wide, and the door in the shop's about 30 feet wide. So we have to unhook the head anytime we want to bring the combine back in the shed. So I'm gonna back the combine out now. We'll hook up to the bean head. That way we can run it to check things over, and then we'll just leave it outside until everything's ran through. We'll come in here and grab our 2 toolboxes of all the extra parts and pieces that we might need for the bean head. Grab these, put them in the Ranger. The first thing we need to get done on the bean head here is we need to check the tension on these belts. These are the Draper belts that take all the soybeans up into the middle of the head, and these need a specific tension on them. And they have a little gauge on the back. I'll show you where we're setting them. Inside this little panel, you got to keep this gauge right in the center of our little green marker. Tighter? So I think you got to, yeah.
Yeah, what?
Tighter. More. That's pretty good. So we got the gauge lined up in the center of the green mark. So now that belt on this side is all tensioned up. There's 3 belts total. You got one on the one side of the head, another on the other side of the head, and then one in the middle that's actually feeding it inside the combine. And there is a tensioner for all 3. The one underneath in the middle is usually the hardest to find. It's kind of what I'm looking for right now. Not seeing it yet. Might have to look inside the operator's manual again to find this one. Here it is. Here's that bolt that tensions the center belt. There's a big clean out door underneath the bean head here. We're ready?
Yeah.
We're about to open it up, see if there's any stuff left over from last year.
You're still caught.
Mine's clear. Looks like there was a little bit of rotten soybeans and a little bit of mud that got left in here from last year. Got it. Because the bean head actually rides on the ground when it's harvesting, underneath here is a bunch of poly, basically plastic skids that the whole head rides on. And now I'm just checking to make sure all these are good, not cracked. Sometimes you get one that gets a little wonky and wants to jump up or something. But by the looks of it, they all look good on the bean head. Now check to make sure all the fingers are there. These are what actually kind of pull some of the crop into the cutter bar and the head. And once in a while you get some of these that break, crack, or just fall off if the bolt wasn't super tight when they put it on. So we'll just do a one over, make sure all these fingers are looking good and are on the bar. We're about to have the first time running the bean head in 2024. Here's to good luck for this year, because last year with this bean head we weren't as lucky. With everything running smooth on the bean head, now it's just a matter of hitting a couple grease zerks on this thing, checking some oil on the backside hydraulic pumps, and checking over some of the sickle sections. Now that I have everything greased on the bean head, the only other thing is just do a visual inspection of all the Draper belts. Make sure there's no large cuts or tears in these, which, given that this is only our second year on this bean head, these things are looking fine. And then also got to do a little visual inspection here on these teeth on this feeder. Since those are hardened steel, they're all gonna be just fine. They used to have plastic ones. That was when we had a full-length drum on the bean head. Those would wear down a lot faster than these. But the way that things are engineered now, it's actually a lot easier to inspect and go through pre-season. On the back side of the bean head here, which ignore this little hole on the side, got a little too close to a fence post. Not me, Dad did last year. We have all of these hydraulic driven motors, and we got to check all the gear case oils in these, as well as there's a couple on the other side. And the head needs to be perfectly level for that to happen. So I'm gonna level things off now so we can start checking the oil inside those gearboxes. And down we go with the bean head. Simple little lever touch. Let's see what the oil level is in here. Hard to tell. There's oil there, looks good. Now we'll check that same gearbox over on the other side. If I can get the shield off. Check that same one right there. It is. Let's see how the oil level looks. Or bone dry. Better add some. Put a little bit in. Perfect. Good enough. With all the technical stuff done on the soybean head, now comes the fun part. Back inside the cab, got to do a bunch of calibrations on the screen to calibrate the head. So we're gonna start working on that. All right. Oh, there it was. Calibrations, header. We'll start at the bottom and move our way up. First calibration complete for the reel and cutter bar. So we just set all the reel, recalibrated all the hydraulic cylinders for our reel, as well as the cutter bar down at the bottom. Getting it tuned in right now where the bottom point is of all the cylinders. You can see the head's just barely jumping up and down. Save. Now the last calibration I'm running here inside the cab, we have the combine running, so it's supposed to be separating grain. Also have the head running at the same time. It's measuring how much vibration is back there on the sensor that measures the yield. That way it basically knows this point of static that it has on the sensor. We'll zero that out, so once we do start running grain in there, this little bit of jiggling around ain't gonna throw off our yield for all the grain that's gonna be going inside the grain tank. The bean head is now ready to go for this fall. The only thing we need to get checked over, which I guess is related to the bean head, is the trailer. Notice when we pulled it out, it looks like we had 2 low tires on that. So we're gonna go over, grab the trailer, we'll swing that up to the other shop, start checking the air pressure on there. That way we can get the bean head off the combine. 80 pounds, all right, that's what I'll put in. This is the only header trailer that we have. Since the corn head is folding, a lot of times, actually I don't think the corn head's never seen this trailer. Like right now, we have the corn head unhooked and the big machine shed just sitting down on some blocks. So the only reason we need the trailer here for the soybean head is it's too wide to make it down the road, which is one nice thing about the corn head. We don't have to unhook it and rehook it when we get to a new field, which we'll have to do with every soybean field here in another couple days. Trailer's ready to go, and my favorite guy of the day is just pulling in, UPS driver, dropping off some other things that we ordered for the farm. I always love when the UPS comes because we go order so much stuff from Amazon, it's unreal. But now I gotta bring this trailer back up to the flat spot of the yard over there. We're gonna get the bean head unhooked. I got the bean head trailer about as straight as I possibly can. The tractor isn't straight, but the trailer's straight, so it makes it a lot easier to put the head on here. Just got to put the straps on, we'll strap it down, and the next time this will be back out of the shed will be for the first day of combining for 2024. Now that the bean head's ready to go, the last thing we need to get ready, here we are inside our big machine shed, is our grain cart. This thing we only use in the fall. We don't use it when we unload any of the bins. So basically, my goal is to get this thing hooked up, get all the hydraulics hooked up. We'll bring it into the other shed. We got plenty of room over there to store it. I'll probably grease it and hit everything over there. But we're gonna get the grain cart out and ready. That way all the equipment after today is ready to go for the fall. The tractor we're gonna be using this fall to pull the grain cart is gonna be the 8R340. Mom will run this about 99% of the time just because that's the only piece of equipment she knows how to run during the fall. So you probably won't see a ton of me inside the grain cart, but I'm the guy that has to hook it up. So let's get this thing out of here and back over into that other shed. Next time I'll be using this jack will probably be the middle of November. We'll be done combining. At least I hope I don't have to unhook this tractor until we're done combining. Slap the old PTO back on. PTO's on. Now we'll just start hooking up all the hydraulics and then we'll get this tractor pulled out of the shed. Look at how many electrical cables we have to hook up to the grain cart. I mean, this is the grain cart. We have like 5 different connections, 2 different cameras, 2 different ones for the scale, the lights. I mean, everything's just becoming so much wiring and electrical work. But we like it, so we'll install it and put it back on the tractor. The only 2 last wires I need to get hooked up here go inside the cab, and these actually plug inside to our scale head right here. This is what's going to give us a readout of how many pounds we have on the grain cart. And then the second one goes back to the screen on the side of the grain cart so the combine operator can see how many pounds are in the cart. There we go. We'll test the scale here. I'll zero everything back down. Now everything should be 0. Should show a 0 readout. Well, I guess it switched to -50 right there. That's the screen that the combine operator will see. So it looks like that's working. So now we'll go ahead and pull this thing out. Now before we start working on the grain cart, we need to know if there's any issues with it currently. So I'm gonna start folding out the auger and then we'll see if the spout works as well to know if there's anything we're gonna have to fix. Out comes the auger. Let's test the number 3 hydraulic. This is gonna turn the spout forward and back. Push it here. Looks like that's working. Now the only other hydraulic we need to check is number 2. And this should spin the spout side to side. I'll push that over here. Let's see if it's going. Nothing. The hoses are still attached to the back of the tractor. The thing I'm gonna try is switching the number 2 hydraulics to, we have an open port here at number 5. We'll hook the hydraulics up there. If that works, we know it's something wrong with the tractor. If that doesn't work, I'm gonna assume it's something wrong on the grain cart. Let's try this again now. Here's the number 5. We'll watch back here. The spout still doesn't want to turn. Oddly enough, I started folding the auger back in, and now watch. I hit the hydraulics. For some reason now the spout will turn. So I'm gonna try folding the auger all the way back open again like we do when we're loading trucks or whatever. And we'll try to see if the spout works now. Huh. I'm hitting the hydraulic back and forth, but for some reason, the spout won't go. Now again, I fold it back a little bit, hit the hydraulic to control the spout. Let's see, and there it goes. Huh. It's kind of weird what's going on. What I'm thinking is there's a small hydraulic motor right there at the end of the spout, and that's what's actually controlling it going side to side. And I'm wondering, maybe there's a small O-ring or a gasket that's out, or maybe it could be the hydraulic motor. I really don't know until I get to look at it. But either way, we're gonna need to fold the auger down, rest it in the back because we can't bring it into one of the sheds with the auger folded out. So I'll get it folded down and we'll bring this thing into one of the sheds. I gotta believe it's something inside this little hydraulic motor that's giving us issues as to why the auger isn't turning, but I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna have to make some phone calls to figure out what might be the issue on this thing. We gotta still grease this as well to get it ready. It does make me a little bit puzzled since the grain cart's only 4 years old and it worked last year when we put it away, so I'm not sure why that might be. But that's gonna be it for today's video of High Tech Farmer. Thanks so much everybody for watching, and we'll see ya in the next one.